Hi everybody, this is Drew Munro from Drew Cooks Personal Chef and Catering Services in Vancouver, BC. Today we're making barbecue ribs, and a lot of people have asked me how to make really good barbecue ribs without boiling them. And when I tell them, the general consensus from those people is, oh, I need a $1,500 barbecue to do those properly. I just have a little tiny gas grill on my patio. Or, oh, I need a $1,000 smoker to do those properly. I just have a propane grill. Well, in order to disprove that, I'm going to be making barbecue ribs today on the tiniest, crappiest little patio barbecue that I could find. So meet the Patio Chef. This is the purple model. This particular model comes with a broken handle. It's a normal propane gas grill here in a condo, and we're here on a rainy day in Vancouver, no less. And nonetheless, we're going to be making great barbecue ribs on this barbecue today. Alright, let's start with the ribs here. Now, not everyone has these fancy little Food Network TV prep tables set up on their backyard or in their patio, so this is a deep freeze that we're going to be prepping on today. It does the job. So I've got one whole rack that I've cut into what's called St. Louis style, which basically means it's been trimmed of the excess fat, and two smaller half racks here. And what I've also done is removed the membrane from along the underside of the ribs. There's a lot of videos showing you how to do this, so I won't go into too much detail, but basically you want to remove it. You don't want to eat it. It's really tough. It kind of gets stuck in people's teeth when they're gnawing on ribs, and it'll make your ribs less tender when people are actually eating them. So the next step, and this might seem kind of weird, so I want you guys to stay with me on this one, but the first step in getting our ribs prepped up for the grill is we're going to apply a thin coat of mustard. This is just regular French's Ballpark mustard. And some people, I know there's a lot of people that don't like mustard out there, but trust me, this is only to help the rub that we're going to put on next stick to the ribs. Also, what the mustard does is it helps create a nice crust on the ribs, otherwise known as bark by some people. And once these ribs are cooked out, there won't be any flavor of mustard left on the ribs, so don't worry about that. If it really bothers you and freaks you out using mustard, just use olive oil or regular vegetable oil as well. So we're going to go ahead and get our ribs coated with the mustard on both sides. Okay, so now that we've got our ribs coated with a thin coating of mustard, we're going to apply our barbecue rub. Now, I've got the recipe posted for my rub on drewcooks.com, but you could really put in anything that you want. There's a ton of recipes out there on the net. If you like yours a little spicier, put in more heat, more chili powder, more cayenne. If you like yours a little sweeter, more sugar. But I've got my recipe posted on my site. You can check that out and use that if you'd like. So I've got it in this handy shaking can here, and all I'm going to do is just go nuts and sprinkle it all over the ribs. And you really want to get it on there, because this is kind of your flavor base for the ribs. And this is also going to be a nice crust once they're on the grill and cooking for a while. So you want to get both sides, flip them over, coat the other side as well, and do the same thing for the other racks as well. Okay, now let's talk about heat and how we're actually going to cook these ribs on the grill. Now let me just move the broken handle out of the way, and you can see that I've got one side of my grill on low heat and the other side is completely off. So that means we're going to be using indirect heat to cook these ribs. So I'm going to put the ribs on the side that's completely off and let the indirect heat from the other side cook them slowly. And the reason you have to cook ribs slow like that is because they have a lot of connective tissue, and you have to allow that fat in the ribs to render out slowly, and that's what makes really tender, mouth-watering ribs. Okay, now smoke, also extremely important when you're cooking ribs. You know, when you're biting into ribs or eating pork or eating anything that's barbecued, you want that smoky flavor. And using wood chips or wood chunks or even wood dust is going to give you that. Now what you want to do, especially when you're cooking on a propane grill, is wrap them in foil like this. Now what I like to do is make a long, thin, flat packet here, kind of like what I've done in foil. And if you bunch it up and have too much wood and too tight of a package, it'll all ignite at once in the barbecue, and what you'll get is this thick white smoke. And you don't want that. When you're barbecuing, you want a thin blue smoke. You want the fire to burn evenly, and you want the wood to burn hot and even. And that's going to give you a better flavor. The thick white smoke has almost a bitter flavor that can impart that bitter flavor onto the ribs. Okay, let's get these on the grill. I've thrown my hickory wood smoke pouch onto the barbecue, onto the side that's heating. You can see it's already starting to smoke up. I'm going to put my ribs now on the side that's completely off. And you want to get them as far away from the actual direct heat source as possible, especially when you're using a grill as small as this. So I've got them both on here, get them nice and tight, but give them just a little room to develop that bark. Close the lid and let them smoke. We'll check back in a couple hours. Okay, our ribs have been on for a couple hours now. The next step is we're going to take them off quickly, wrap them in heavy-duty aluminum foil, and then put them back on the grill for another couple hours to let them steam and tenderize. Okay, so I've got my aluminum foil over here. You can put it all on the same sheet, it's not a big deal, they don't have to be individually wrapped. I'm going to get my ribs, put them right onto the foil there. I'm going to loosely wrap it because I want lots of steam to build up. Like so. And then right back on. Pinch it to make sure all the edges are sealed. Close her up and we'll leave it for another couple hours and we'll check back. So I've just taken the ribs that are in the aluminum foil pouch out of our grill. Now let's have a look at them. This is what they're looking like now. Not too bad. Now all that's left, they have to go back on, unfoiled, for about another hour. That's just to let the crust harden up again. Our ribs have steamed and tenderized nicely. About an hour and these ribs are going to be ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and throw them back on right now. Alright, they've been on for another hour or so. It's money shot time. Let's check it out. Look at those. You can see our rub has formed a nice crust on here. The bones are starting to stick out a bit. The meat, just I can tell by touching it, is really nice and tender. These are ready to be eaten. But one more test I want to show you guys. This is a very scientific test as you're about to see. A lot of people aren't sure when ribs are done. So what we do is we use what's called the bend test. So a good rib should not be mushy to the point where it's falling apart, but it shouldn't be tough either. So if you take it and hold it by the halfway point, you should be able to bend it like this without it actually breaking. And that means you've got perfectly cooked ribs. Let's plate these up. Okay, moment of truth. Let's cut some of these up. Cut one off here. Oh, it's perfect. You can see from this one that I did earlier that it's got a slight pink smoke ring around the edge of the meat. That's where the smoke has actually permeated the meat and that smoke flavor has gone through. Okay, well there you have it. Proof that great barbecue ribs can be made on even the smallest apartment patio barbecue. For the full recipe for the rub, the sauces, and all the preparation for the ribs that we did today, please visit drewcooks.com. It's all posted there. Thanks a lot for checking this video out. I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy.